A mostly cloudy, rainy morning in Chicago, but for the time being, things are looking pretty good. And we welcome you to Wrigley Field. The Reds and the Cubbies getting together in back-to-back weekends. The Reds' first visit to Chicago this year. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. Jim Day, a little under the weather today. Hope he's feeling better and back with us tomorrow. I'm Tom Brenneman. The Reds last Friday saw Kyle Hendricks, and he was as good as anybody they have seen all year long in this ballpark. He has not allowed an earned run in his last 28 innings.
He's been awfully good, and the way he carved up the Reds last time, it makes you believe that he probably thinks he can do it again. Even though he got beat up pretty good by the Nationals in his last start, he was all over the corners with the Reds. Change-ups with 2 strikes, moving fastballs early on. You can't go up there looking for the same result if you go up and do the same thing over and over against Kyle Hendricks. Something's got to change. The adjustment now lies with the Reds and see if the Reds hitters can figure out a different way to go about their business against Kyle Hendricks.
You mentioned being a little shaky in his last start. The same holds true for Anthony DeSclafani.
Well, DeSclafani, he doesn't throw that changeup anymore. So he's a guy that has gone with a 4-seam fastball up. He's got 2 different breaking pitches, a slider and a curveball. But in my opinion, they're so close together speed-wise that they're blending into one. If that breaking pitch of his is not working, it's a tough outing. And that's what happened to him last time. He's going to have to spot up his fastball and pitch these guys inside a little bit more than they did last time.
The Cubs did not have Anthony Rizzo available when the Reds beat them 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati last week, and probably a good thing because since coming back, he is knocking the cover off the ball.
Well, they got to a very bad start, but, you can pretty much pencil him down every year for 30 home runs, 105, 106 runs batted in, about a 280 batting average. But his last 7 games, he's heating up, and he's a player everybody here in Chicago hopes he will be.
An unlikely source heating up offensively on the other side of the field is shortstop Jose Iglesias.
I don't think anybody saw this coming with Iglesias, especially with runners in scoring position in clutch situations. He seems to be able to put the bat on the ball, drive the runs in. He has been a big bright spot for this Reds offense.
And he is in the lineup playing shortstop again today for this series opener. All right, when we come back, we're going to dive into the fortunes of one Amir Garrett. How good, if not great, has he been so far this year? Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup, only your tri-state Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati Children's Hospital, changing the outcome together. By Furniture Fair, for style and flair, choose Furniture Fair. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. It's incredible what continues to go around the outside and the inside of this historic Wrigley Field. And welcome back. We're about 10 minutes away from game time. Chris, you talked very early in this season about Amir Garrett and the chance to be great. So far, he has been great.
Well, he's been physically gifted, Tom, with a fastball that goes into the mid to upper 90s. He's developed, however, maybe the best slider of any left-hander in baseball right now. And I mean, it is unhittable whether you're right-handed or left-handed. He's found a perfect release point. And the good thing about it is that his attitude of aggressiveness and confidence on the mound is finally matching his physical ability.
IGS bringing the energy. Oh my, compare his numbers to this time a year ago. Opponent's batting average in the 180s, nearly 14 strikeouts per 9 innings and not giving up the home run ball. And he decided he needed to change his focus in preparation of 2019.
I worked really hard in the offseason. Did some soul searching and, talked to myself and, asked myself, do I want to be good or do I want to be great? And, just want to do the best I possibly can, and I felt, had a deep talk with myself, like, what I was doing the last 2 years wasn't going to get me anywhere in this game. And so, I just had to take a long look in the mirror and, I said, I want to be great. I want to be one of the best. So, just the confidence of of that part, and just the mental part of the game, that you have to, be really good at that too, because, it's more than being able to play this game physically. So I think that's the biggest thing.
And, Chris, you got to love the fire when he squares off with these Cubbies.
Well, I mean, the guy that's got a lot of fire against him is Javier Baez. In fact, he's 2 for 3 with a couple of home runs lifetime. They get into it a little bit emotionally. These two guys love to compete. Nobody likes to lose. This has the makings of a really good series.
And this is a matchup here we're going to see for a long time.
Yeah, we are, because you're going to see Garrett coming in against left-handers, the best one on every team, and Rizzo is that guy on the Cubs. And right now, 2 for 10 is Rizzo against Amir Garrett. I think that number may even favor Garrett more and more as time goes on.
All right, when we come back, the Reds are celebrating 150 years of playing baseball professionally. And how about a little history lesson? That's right around the corner. It is a chilly afternoon here in Chicago. It could not have been any more perfect yesterday. Cubs losing the final game, splitting a 4-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies. Bright sunshine, upper 70s. Well, the old winds have come a-calling today from the northeast, blowing in. That's all that matters if you're a pitcher or a batter today, and temperatures can't be wind chill much above 50. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup today under manager David Bell. Reds coming in at 22 up, 27 down. Senzel, Votto, Suarez. Winker back in there left, and Puig back for the first time after injuring his shoulder, making that leaping grab into the stands on Sunday. Derek Dietrich will bat 6th. The latter third of Iglesias, Barnhart, and Anthony DeSclafani. And, you know, David Bell thought that the pitcher they roughed up 2 days ago, Zach Davies, reminded him a little bit of this guy, so they're hoping for better success this time around.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they're both the same style of pitcher. And last time, however, that Kyle Hendricks pitched against the Reds, he basically pulled out a butter knife and carved him up as however he wanted to. He lived on the corners all day long. And what you should expect from Hendricks is very much of the same. When he gets ahead of you, he pitches like Luis Castillo. More than 50% changeups are coming your way. Most of them on the third base side of home plate, whether you're a right-hander or a left-hander. Changes speeds well. Occasionally, he'll pitch up in the strike zone by intent. He just has good command, and that's why he's able to pitch in the major leagues and be 20 games over 500 with a fastball that barely reaches 87 miles an hour.
Those are the numbers in that win over the Reds. He wasn't nearly as sharp his last time out. Well, not quite sure what's going on here. The third base umpire is Bill Miller, and he is a crew chief of this group. He's been spending a lot of time in front of that Cubs dugout with their manager, Joe Madden. And they're holding up the start of this game. Well, we talked about how good Hendricks has been here. Not a single earned run in nearly 3 full games, his 3 most recent games in the very friendly confines and friendly weather conditions for the men on the mound today. First ever at bat for Nick Senzel at Wrigley Field. He looks at a strike and we're underway. Senzel at 240, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in his first 75 major league at bats, and he's behind 0-2.
This is where Senzel and every other Reds hitter, if they do get down 2 strikes in the count to Hendricks, you've got to look off speed, and you've got to look out on the other side of the plate.
Going on 3 pitches is Senzel.
And that was a changeup. I didn't mean outer side of the plate. I meant the third base side of home plate, because that's primarily where his weapon is, where his strikeout weapon is, whether it's a fastball or a changeup. That's a changeup. A classic circle change, a down and in break, and he fools the hitter with the motion of the arm. He fools the hitter with the speed and also the action. And if you just look on that third base side of home plate, this is against a right-hander. This is where he throws all of his pitches. That graph that we just showed you is changeups that he throws. Last time out against the Reds, he threw 20 changeups, and 11 of them were strikes, 8 of them were put in play, and 1 was a ball. So that's where he's going with it. And for the life of me, I don't understand why major league hitters don't, with all the analytics that are out there, Tom, why you can't figure out something and say, all right, we're going to do something different here against Hendricks, because we can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Well, it should be noted, this is the exact same lineup with the exception of a starting pitcher, where the Reds had all of 3 hits and 1 run. Senzel, Votto, Suarez, Winker, Puig, Dietrich, Iglesias, and Tucker Barnard.
I really think that you're feeding into Hendricks' forte when you stand as far back in the box as you absolutely have to. You're picking his pitches up late. They're going to be down below the hollow of the knees when they throw him where he wants them, and that's a tough pitch to elevate.
Joey Votto behind at 1-2. And now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Votto, both of his hits in the series against Milwaukee were checked swings that were rollers into left field. His only 2 hits in that series. 4 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and a .208 average.
Well, this is again Kyle Hendricks changeups versus left-handers last time he pitched against the Reds. And you can see where the majority of these pitches are. They're on the third base side of home plate. So when he gets 2 strikes on you, he is going with the changeup and he's going away. That's where his safe zone is, and that's where the Reds hitters have to look.
In and out of the mid of Caratini, and Votto's still hanging around at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's funny because Hendricks has this changeup that he can make tail away in a traditional fashion away from left-handers. He also can make his changeup cut a little bit and make that run down and into left-handers. But for the vast majority of those pitches, he's going down and away. You just saw his best fastball, 90 miles an hour. Look for something slow next pitch. Coming in with the heater.
That is the 49th strikeout this season by Votto against 24 walks.
A little 2-seam runner right there and just throws it right by him. Boy, I think the frustration for Joey Votto just must be building and building with every bat, every game, every series. And maybe even complicated more so by the fact that the rest of the team isn't exactly hitting great either.
So now Eugenio Suarez, a .254 batter, 13 home runs and 31 runs batted in. Great to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. We wish you a safe Memorial Day weekend. Reds will have a doubleheader after a rainout earlier this year against the Pirates, so that'll be a day-night doubleheader when they return home after this weekend series. Jam shot roller down to third, and up to his old tricks again early on is Hendricks. Win, and win some more. That's all Joe Madden has done since taking over the Chicago Cubs in 2015. Playoffs, each of the front 4, and the World Series title in 2016. His lineup brought to you by Furniture Fair. Middletown native Schwarber, followed by Bryant and Rizzo. Baez, Hayward, Caratini in the middle. Descalzo, Amora Jr. And Hendricks on the mound against right-hander Anthony DeSclafani.
Well, DeSclafani made start number 87 of his major league career. He came up when he was 24 years old in 2014. He is 1 game under 500 career-wise and just about 500 at 2-2 this year.
DeSclafani got off to a nice start this season. His first 6 starts, ERA just under 3.5, but his last 3 starts, he's given up nearly a run per inning and has really been hurt by the home run ball. He's given up 10 in 45 innings.
Yeah, 8 of those 10 home runs have come in the first 3 innings. Of course, DeSclafani's not around to pitch 7, 8, and 9. But, I mean, early in the game, he set a pattern. And I think the most important thing for Anthony here today is to establish that he can throw his breaking ball for a strike. He was unable to do that last time against the Dodgers, and they really wore him out. I mean, this is a fastball hitting team. You go up and down this lineup, Schwarber, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, all of these guys just live on hitting the fastball.
Schwarber struggling early on this year at .233. His on-base percentage is close to .350, so he's getting on. That's why they'll bat a guy like him in that leadoff spot time to time. And that ball is killed, and another home run given up by DeSclafani. That might be out of the stadium. Close to it.
Fastball, I think he was trying to cut that and get that ball inside a little bit. You see where Barnhart is standing up, and he just leaves it out over the plate. And man, oh man, that's back there where Leon Durham used to hit him. Off me.
Schwarber his 8th home run of this season. And here's Chris Bryant, who has 11 of those this year, along with 32 runs batted in, leads the Cubs with 40 runs scored. It's the first time ever Schwarber has hit a home run leading off a game. Hook to the left side. Iglesias in time. And we talked about that when we saw the Cubs last weekend. It doesn't matter who it is. And in a case like Bryant, he can run. But every one of their guys is busting it up that first base line.
Well, you know, one of the things that Joe Madden hangs his hat on is the fact that he motivates his players. And it is obvious here, well, with the little times that we have seen the Cubs this year, these guys are busting it every dime down the line, and you can't ask for more effort than that.
It almost makes you wonder, Chris, because you know, much has been made of Joe Madden not having a contract beyond this year. And you almost wonder if the players are trying to prove to whoever is going to make the ultimate decision, Theo Epstein or Tom Ricketts or a combination of the two, that this is our guy.
Wins on the board, have a way of doing that.
Well, the last time I checked, they're in first place. Again. 10 games over 500 after a terrible start. If you don't think that missing Rizzo last weekend was a big deal, just start digging into some of the numbers he has against the Reds in his career. Since the start of 2016, he has 55 RBIs against Cincinnati pitching. That's the 4th most by one player against any single opponent in baseball. Wynn going to blow that back towards the infield, and Lee comes on to get it. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Puig back in there after missing the last 2. And Dietrich the nod at second base. Puig got a cortisone shot in that right shoulder after he made the leaping grab into the stands in foul ground. There's a liner caught by Votto to win the inning. So Puig will bat when the Reds bat in the second, trailing 1-0. Take a look at Chicago defensively, brought to you by Ford, Hayward, Almora Jr., and Schwarber. Almora Jr. might be the hottest hitter in their lineup right now. Already a home run in this one by Schwarber. And Caratini to start behind the plate. He was just activated 10 days ago while the Cubs were in Cincinnati after suffering a broken hamate bone. Jesse Winker to start things here in the Cincinnati second inning. A 1-2-3 opening inning for Hendricks. Winker at 221, 10 home runs, 16 knocked in, and that pitch up and in, and he fouls it away. I don't know if I've ever seen a ball boy or a bat boy more ready for action than that young man we just showed you a moment ago.
Well, he was running sprints from the Cubs dugout down to the home plate area a couple of times right before the game when they were exchanging lineup cards. He was doing some stretching on the wall. I mean, he is ready to go.
Rizzo behind the bag, and that's easy. One away. I mean, he was really working on those wind sprints, and here's why, Chris. Getting ready to go. Look at him. They say practice makes perfect. That's what he was doing before the game today.
Hey, you know what? With the way the Cubs run the ball out, I see it's contagious.
He might be the trendsetter.
Well, I mean, he may be picking up on it, but I mean, why not? Why can't every player on every team give it their best every time out? I don't care if you know you're going to be out of first base, run it out anyway.
Here's Yasiel Puig. 7 home runs, 25 knocked in, a 206 batting. First 4 retired by Hendricks. 2 balls and no strikes on Puig.
Now, Puig is not a hitter that is in all the way in the back of the batter's box. He's about midway through. I think he may have even moved up a couple of inches here in this plate appearance against Hendricks. Boy, is that a key. I mean, if you start chasing pitches from Hendrick at the top of the zone and the bottom of the zone, pretty soon you're going to be chasing stuff way out of the strike zone. So just shrink it down to one part that you like, and Puig likes it down.
Taking 3-0, looks at a strike. Tardy on a fastball. Well, you'd swear you're playing in the first week of April, and yet here we are in the final days of May, and everybody bundled up.
You know, that might be one of the biggest myths in baseball, that people think that Wrigley Field is a hitter's ballpark, that the wind always blows out once the April comes and goes. Not so. In fact, they did a study over the years, and it blows in more than it blows out. They're going to call that strike 3. Puig thought he tipped it.
And Puig is turned around to the home plate umpire, Chris Conroy, and saying, I fouled that ball off, and now here comes David Bell.
You know, we saw the reverse of this. I believe it was when the Cubs were in town with Joey Votto on a strike 3 call. He was called for foul tipping the ball into the glove. Puig takes a swing. I don't know whether we'll be able to see it or not.
I think you missed it. I think they got the call right.
Yeah. He went chasing.
5 batters and 3 strikeouts already by Hendricks. And this is a guy who does not average a strikeout an inning. He had 45 of them in 57 frames.
You know, he got beat up his last time out by the Washington Nationals. They got 4 runs off him in 5 2/3 innings, although he brought a no-hitter into the 5th inning.
Short center field, and Almora Jr. with a diving grab. We saw him make some big-time plays in Cincinnati last week. And this one takes away a hit from Dietrich. Both of these teams are very much home run hitting teams. Nearly 70% of the Reds' home runs this year have been solo homers, 4th most. Whereas the Cubs, almost half of their home runs have come with men on base. And virtually their home run numbers are pretty much a flip of the coin. Cubs have hit 6 more, but they have outscored the Reds this year, Chris, by more than 50 runs. So, as you like to say frequently, you're more concerned with not how far they went, and not with exit velocity, and not with launch angle. You're more concerned with how many are on when you hit them.
That's really all that counts, is how many or how productive the home run is. Unless you're in a fantasy league that gets credit for the distance of the home run. I think there probably are some out there.
Now that I hadn't heard of, but I'm sure it's true somewhere. Here's Caratini. Only played in 10 games, and not every one of those as a starter, yet he has 10 hits already, a home run, 3 doubles, and 5 knocked in. This guy can hit. He would be starting for a lot of teams around baseball, but he's behind one of the very best in their regular catcher, Wilson Contreras. Cubs are in a stretch right now. Here you have the Reds with a pair of off days in the last 4 days. The Cubs are basically going close to 3.5 weeks without a single off day. They wrapped up a 4-game set yesterday against the Phillies, which they split. As Iglesias throws out Caratini, and of the last, 12 series the Cubs have played, their only series loss was to the Reds last weekend at Great American Ballpark. Daniel Descalzo. Check swing and a miss, and DeSclafani with a very impressive second inning. He's retired 6 in a row since a leadoff home run. Reds baseball always live with MLB at bat. Follow the action with game tracking and video highlights, along with up-to-the-minute statistics. Download the MLB at bat today, your #1 app for Cincinnati Reds baseball. Reds come to bat here in the 3rd, trailing 1-0 in the first pitch. A ground ball to the second baseman, Descalzo, and Jose Iglesias thrown out.
Yeah, a lot of first pitch swinging here. This part of the order anyway from both ball clubs. DeSclafani with a nice easy 1-2-3 inning. Hayward, Caratini, and Descalzo, all of them very aggressive early on. And Jose Iglesias makes the first pitch out. You know, one of the things I think that really works in Hendricks' favor, other than his incredible command of his pitches, is the fact that he doesn't throw really all that hard. And every pitch that he delivers
his high mark is about 88 miles an hour. So the hitter sees that pitch. And when you see the pitch, your brain tells you that I can hit that pitch. Now, if you're throwing 99 miles an hour and the ball's moving all over the place, hey, even the umpire misses those pitches. But he gets a lot of chases on marginal pitches because it looks like he can be hit. And just a little bit of finger action here or there makes the ball cut, makes the ball run, takes a little bit off. One of the rare pitchers that is able to make his changeup cut and tail at the same time. There's a changeup. What I mean by tail is one that goes away from a left-hander, and a cut one will go into a left-hander.
Only Luis Castillo will throw that particular pitch with more frequency with 2 strikes on a batter than Hendricks.
Now, the changeup that you throw with 2 strikes, kind of against the book, really, but Luis Castillo does it 60% of the time. Hendricks does it 56% of the time. Those are the 2 most often thrown changeups in baseball.
And you take both of those guys in your rotation tomorrow.
Oh, sure you would. The conventional thinking is that you get ahead with the soft stuff and you put them away with the hard stuff. That's the way it used to be. But not if you're Hendricks or Luis Castillo. He does it that time with the high fastball. Same pitch he got Joey Votto out on. Just a little bit elevated, slightly above the hitting zone right there, really above the strike zone.
So here is DeSclafani. 2 outs, nobody on. 8 in a row retired by Hendricks. DeSclafani 3 of 15 as a batter this year. Guys are paid a lot of money to make adjustments and figure it out. This looks like the same thing we saw last week just through the first 3 innings. And that means 0 hard contact against Kyle Hendricks. See if that'll change. Second go round through the lineup today. That's the hardest hit ball the Reds have in the game. And it's a 3rd straight 1-2-3 inning. Time for T-Mobile's connection to the game. How about Craig Biggio's son, Kevin, called up today. He'll team with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be the first sons of Hall of Famers to play on the same Major League Baseball team. Wow. And the Minnesota Twins, 3rd time in team history. They've done it twice this year. 8 home runs in a game. And in their first 49 games, Chris, 98 home runs for the Minnesota Twins.
Remember people were getting on them in the wintertime for not trying to improve their ball club to try to stay with the Cleveland Indians. I don't know whether you had them in the kind of year they're having or not, Tom, but they are surprising everybody in baseball.
Yep, they sure are. I mean, you look at that record, 33-16. That's better than Houston. That's better than the Yankees. That's better than the Dodgers and the Cubs. It's better than anybody in the game. Almora Jr., we talked about of all these Cubs hitters. And look, they have a lot of guys that are having good offensive seasons. But at least coming into this series, their hottest batter is hitting in the 8th hole. He hit a grand slam yesterday A .322 batting average going back to April the 25th. And actually his grand slam came the day before yesterday. One ball, two strikes, and a fly ball into right. The winds have lightened up considerably from where we were earlier. There's virtually very little, if any, wind now. But it is chilly. That's a look down the right field fair pole. And here's Hendricks. Of course, he did it with the bat and the right arm in that win against the Reds last weekend in Cincinnati. He had 3 hits in the game, including a 2-run double in the second inning, which was the difference in winning and losing in a 3-1 Chicago victory. Iglesias will plant and throw. 2 down. So now Kyle Schwarber, the only hit for either team in this game. StatCast AI powered by AWS. You love these numbers, Chris Welsh.
How about that one's going into the street? I don't know, Tom. Maybe I should ask you, what would be the combination of exit velocity
Don't ask me
and
that.
launch angle
Don't ask me
to get the ball onto the street?
I have no idea. You just got to hit it a long way.
Okay.
How's
I'll
that?
go with that.
Hit a
I'll
little
go with
harder. Get in the weight room, as my son likes to say. Weight room. Come on, Schwarber. Used to get in there in Middletown. Hey, come on. Doesn't it look like you ought to be pumping a little more iron? Former Middletown Middy. Baseball and football star, linebacker there.
That's a good pitch right there. That's a pitch that DeSclafani did not throw to Schwarber the first time up. Fastball inside. You've got to get him aware of the fact that you will come inside. Nice.
Then you paint the outside corner on the next pitch.
Little curve ball, backdoor curve. He does have an off-speed pitch, and this is it right here. The curve ball about 84 miles an hour. The slider he throws anywhere from 88 to 91. But what he doesn't really do much anymore, except about 1% of the time, which means once a game he'll throw a changeup. And he did have a changeup a couple of years ago, DeSclafani did. And for whatever reasons, kind of gotten away from that. Today, the Cubs, just like the Dodgers, they can load up the lineup with a lot of left-handers. And that changeup can be a very important pitch, slow, moving away from a left-handed hitter.
Two and two on Kyle Schwarber. And a full count to the Chicago left fielder. Fastball that ran out on him. A little giddy up on that fastball for DeSclafani today.
You know, when he has his fastball coming out of his hand really well, that can really be, it's a great pitch. It gets on you very quickly. I've talked to both catchers a lot about it. That's a two-seamer right there that he's kind of run back. But on those days when you don't have that really good fastball coming out,
Those are the days you really have to battle. And those are the days where that breaking pitch has to be precise.
Boy, let that one get away from him. Little too fine to Schwarber.
Well, if you had a guy there that hit the ball 450 feet off you, you have a tendency to pitch him a little fine the next time out.
Well, I know one thing. I'd rather face Schwarber all day, every day than Bryant. Left-handed, right-handed.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm DeSclafani, I've got two weapons that I have against Bryant that I don't have against Schwarber, which is the breaking pitch. He didn't get Schwarber to fish at all at the breaking pitch. You can get a right-hander to chase.
Schwarber thought about taking off, and Tucker jumps on that thing. Bryant at 280 coming into play today. We mentioned that this ball is killed into left center field, and that one's out of here. That is a whopping 12 home runs in 47 innings. Surrendered by DeSclafani, and on the heels of a 2-out walk.
Yeah, tried to run a fastball by him, and it ran right out over the center of the plate.
Rizzo popped up to right field his first time up. That is Chris Bryant's 15th career home run against the Reds. His most against any team, and of course he hadn't been around the big leagues all that long. This one might fly the scoreboard. Four 4-0 Chicago.
You know, when people look back on the 2 home runs by Bryant, look where the pitch is down here. And then Rizzo, look where his pitch is. They're going to talk about how these Cubs hitters have learned to elevate the baseball. But those pitches are up. Either you're going to have to pitch at the very top of the strike zone or at the very bottom of the strike zone. But for Anthony DeSclafani, pitching somewhere between thigh high and the belt is going to land you an early shower. And it's like that with any other pitcher in the major leagues. The Cubs aren't lifting the baseball. They're just getting pitches that are left right out over the dish. And it's a helpless feeling when you're out there doing that. He did not have good command last time. He didn't have a breaking ball that he could attack those left-handed hitters with when he pitched against the Dodgers, and he's having a very similar problem here today. By not being able to locate your breaking ball for a strike and you have to come in with your fastball, that's a bad feeling.
He retired the first 2 batters in the inning, and he was ahead of Schwarber.
Well, one of them was the pitcher, and the other was the number 8 hitter.
Yep. But that walk is a killer in this inning. I mean, Bryant and Rizzo are two of the best players in the game. Two of the best. That's strike 3 called on the outside corner. So the Cubs flexing their muscles early on. They've hit 3 home runs in the first 3 innings and lead by 4. Well, Reds fans, you got to check out the Reds Heads Kids Club. For only $30, you get an exclusive Reds Heads backpack, a jersey, a Joey Votto bobblehead, Rex tickets, and so much more. Please sign up. Your young Reds fan today at Reds.com/Kids Club. All right, Reds work to do. We're only in the 4th inning. They trail Kyle Hendricks and the Chicago Cubs 4-0. One and 2 the count on Nick Senzel. He struck out leading off the ball game. The Reds are in search of their first base runner against Hendricks, who worked into the 9th inning against him a little more than a week and a half ago and allowed a total of 3 hits and a single run. And that's strike 3 to Senzel.
Well, the first time up he struck out on a changeup down and in. That time, little comeback fastball. Hendricks has got a pitch that has a lot of run on it. And that's, I'll tell you what we're seeing here this afternoon with Chris Conroy behind home plate. The corners of the strike zone are in play as strikes. You better be ready to swing the bat.
Oh, and 1 on Votto, struck out swinging his first time up. And a little flare into shallow center field, and that will fall in a base hit for Votto. He's coming to second base, and he will slide in safely with a double.
Good hustle for Joey that time. He knew he didn't hit it well. He knew he had a chance to have a base hit right there, and he busted it down the line and turned it into a double. Well, what a good effort by Almora. He took one away from Dietrich in the 2nd inning, made that catch. That one he could not, and could not get up in time to throw Votto out at second.
All right, so now you force Hendricks to pitch out of the stretch for the first time today. And Suarez, a soft liner, so 1 pitch into the stretch position. He gets a soft line out, 2nd of the inning. And here comes Jesse Winker. Winker bounced out to Rizzo at first base his first time up. And that pitch is strike 1 on the inside corner. Well, we continue to say over and over, and you know, David Bell pretty much confirmed in his office earlier today. Is it a slump for 2 months? Is it a pattern? Call it whatever you want to call it. But Bell will tell you, and anybody who watches his team, as many of you do on a regular basis, until the trio of Winker, Votto, and Puig, at least two of those three begin to hit, the Reds are going to have a hard time scoring a lot of runs.
Well, the problem, Tom, right now is that Puig is a guy that throughout his entire career has been notoriously streaky. We really don't know enough about Winker yet. He hasn't put that much of a sample size at the major league level together. I mean, early on in your career, you can sneak up on him a little bit, and then they begin to find you out, and you have to adjust again. I think that's where Winker is at this point.
He got hit on the right elbow in that pitch, and he's wearing a guard on that thing, so maybe not as painful as it otherwise would have been. At least he's on base.
Well, Joe Madden is asking his video guy for a replay right here. He wants to make sure that actually hit him. It looked like Winker may have moved his elbow in a little bit on that. That is not reviewable. The fact that whether the ball hits the player or not is reviewable. Hey, Puig runs into one right here, and you got a little different ball game.
Absolutely. And Puig has 7 of those this season. Puig went to a 3-0 count his first time up. He went to 3-2 and then chased a pitch out of the strike zone that he swung and missed. Ball and 1 strike. And a flare into center field. It'll fall in a hit. Votto being waved around. He will score, and the Reds with a 2-out rally. A 2-out base hit by Yasiel Puig to make it a 4-1 ball game. Boy, the Reds needed that one.
Yeah, they did. They got to shift the momentum in this ball game around a little bit. The fluke by Votto that he turns into a double by hustling, and then this little jam shot by Puig. So, yeah, you put the ball in play, things can happen for you. Not only that, but the Reds still have runners on the bases, second and first. And a guy at the plate who has enough pop to get one out of here.
Yeah, you could tie this game with one mighty crack of the bat. He has 12 home runs, does Derek Dietrich this season.
I've always thought this is a pretty good matchup for Dietrich. Dietrich is really good at off-speed stuff down in the zone. That's where a majority of his home runs are. Of course, the Cubs know that. Put a line drive, a little sinking line drive that Amora made a nice play on the first time up.
Well, so far this month, look at that slugging percentage among all National League players. Oh, by the way, there's Bryant and Rizzo.
Josh Bell. Man, oh man, has he turned into a monster.
And we will see him starting on Monday.
Yeah.
Pirates will come in. Doubleheader, day-night doubleheader on Memorial Day.
He is just mashing the baseball. Bell is.
Play a night game Tuesday night and then a day game to wrap up a 4-game series in 3 days Wednesday afternoon. Big spot right here for Dietrich and the Reds.
Get him off that low outside pitch. I mean, you're not going to intimidate anybody with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. What you are, though, is going to change eye level. Make him move his feet a little bit. Make him get out of there and then come back down and away.
3 balls and a strike now on Dietrich.
don't think that Kyle Hendrick in the last game he pitched against the Reds in Cincinnati even knew what a 3-1 count was. New territory for him.
All right, runners go. 3-2 pitch. And it's ball 4 to load him up. And now all of a sudden the guy who has the best batting average with runners in scoring position in the National League this year is coming to the plate, and Jose Iglesias. Here are the numbers we're talking about. A .500 batter. And there's Josh Bell's name again, by the way. How about the other names on that list? Machado, Bellinger, Yelich. All right, big spot now for the Reds. And a strike to Iglesias. First 10 in the game set down by Hendricks until a little more than a half swing pop-up into center field that turned into a double for Votto. An out later, a hit batter. RBI single. Now walk. And that'll end the inning. On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Ford. Ford, go further. And by Kroger, it's easy to place your order online and then pick it up at the store. Try it today at Kroger.com. It's that kind of day in Chicago. That old adage, if you don't like the weather, just hang around for an hour. Because, I mean, yesterday could not have been more spectacular. Bright sunshine on the lakefront, boats out, people all over at the beach along the lake. And now we see the sunshine for the first time today. Winds blowing in from the northeast, although it appears there's beginning to shift a little bit now. More of a crosswind from right to left. It's always hard to tell. Jason Hayward, a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. DeSclafani has given up 3 home runs. That's 13 of them now for him in 48 innings. Bounces through into center field, a hit, and Hayward had thoughts of taking off for second base, was paying attention to the rookie Senzel, how quickly he'd go get that ball.
Hayward hit the ball hard his first time, but he hit it on the shortstop side of second base, and there was Iglesias to make the play. This time he hits it back up the middle again, but they're not playing him really up the middle. They're playing the shortstop shifted towards the right side, but they're giving him that middle on the right side of the bag, and he's able to punch one in for a base hit.
Now Caratini, he grounded out to Iglesias his first time up. Of course, it used to be the bullpens were in the field of play here at Wrigley Field. No longer. And you wonder how much rope DeSclafani is going to get in this one. You can say, well, he's only allowed 4 base runners in the first, 3 innings. Well, 3 of them are home runs. And 4 runs total.
Yeah, those are the quick, painless scoring innings, but they mean just as much on the board. And you do have a tendency of hanging in the ball game a little bit more when you give up runs like that than when you're constantly battling out of trouble.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. Perfect throw by Barnhart to cut down Hayward. Boy, you can't hand it to Iglesias any better than that.
Well, I mean, it was a nice pick at the other end by Iglesias, too. Barnhart threw it low enough that it was going to take a good little hop very close to the glove. And look how far Iglesias lets that ball travel. He doesn't try to reach out and get it ahead of time and then bring the glove back. He lets that ball come to him. And it is right on the money.
Boy, I owe you an apology. I thought that thing had made it in the air, and on second glance, you're 100% correct. That's an outstanding play by Iglesias. Wow. How good has he been?
He has just been, good, and he's got the flash to go with it.
Well, it makes you wonder, Chris. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Might he be the kind of player, based on what they've seen so far, where they entertain ideas about him hanging around at shortstop for a little while longer?
Well, I mean, look at it this way. I mean, right now it was Jose Peraza's position to lose, and he lost it right now to Jose Iglesias. So, I mean, I don't know really where the Reds feel long-term about Jose Peraza when they compare him to Jose Iglesias. But that's basically the decision that they have to make. Because right now there's nobody at the AAA level ready to come up and play shortstop. They've got a young man down in AA who plays big league defense in Rodriguez. I think one of the Cuban signees that the Reds made internationally a few years ago. But I mean, this is what a shortstop's supposed to look like.
Well, there is very little question about that. The plays that he has made and some of the runs that he has saved his pitching staff. Oh, and by the way, from an average standpoint, he's been the most productive hitter on the team. A decision to make. But right now, the Reds are more concerned about the Cubbies. Trailing 4-1 here in the 4th. Oh.
Well, he's thrown a couple of these pitches, breaking pitches that he's trying to backdoor, and I'm not sure if they're slipping out of his hand or he's just not being able to get a good grip and pull him down. But this is supposed to be a slider right here. And how many times do you see a slider miss up there? I mean, there's no tumbling action where it's actually going to break down. There's more side-to-side spin right there. And those are usually the ones, if you do throw in the zone, they go a long way.
Daniel Descalzo now the batter. DeSclafani quite fortunate they threw out the runner stealing, or he would be in some serious trouble with 2 on and none out here in this 4th inning. Instead, it's 1 on and 1 out after the walk. And you've got the 7-hole hitter Descalzo, who struck out his first time up. another base runner.
You know, Dan Descalzo is a guy that you look at and you say, geez, he's a lifetime 238 hitter. How has he been around so long? He's in his 10th major league season. He's played for several different teams, mostly with the St. Louis Cardinals. And every time you turn around, he's coming up with a nice hit, a nice play. He fits into this ball club here with the Cubs very well. Nice little piece that fits in there to play against right-handers and fill in at second base. A very heady player, knows what he's doing. Good bit of hitting. He knew there was a hole there.
What do you think about it? I mean, really, is winning following him around, or is he helping to lead winning moving forward? Because he's been with the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, and the Cubs, and everywhere he's been, they end up in the playoffs. Now, is he the primary reason why? Of course not. But extremely valuable indeed. Almora did not like that call on a 1-0 pitch. This is a huge batter in this game for DeSclafani. I mean, you are tinkering right on the edge here with 2 on and 1 out, and you've got the number 8 hitter and then the pitcher next. And you're already down 4-1. And David Bell knows it. He has Wandy Peralta getting loose in the bullpen. One and 2 on Almora.
Or if you're a pitcher right now, you just threw those last 2 pitches to Albert Almora. You're thinking, I am in complete control of this at bat. I threw a fastball inside that he jumped away from. I threw a slider that he waved at. I mean, I can pretty much throw him anything right here, but you stay away from the middle of the plate. I mean, you make him chase a little bit. He's up there trying to get a run in. Expand the zone. Boy, you could have called that a swing easy.
Three balls, 2 strikes on Almora Jr. They start the runners. And straight away center field, they'll have to hustle back. Well, I love seeing managers do that. Well, I mean, the pitcher coming up next, well, roll the dice.
And I think in that situation, I mean, they really telegraphed at the fact that they were going to run. Caratini at second base was getting a little bit more of a lead, In fact, he was moving at the time that DeSclafani was going to the plate. So the pitcher never made him stop, which is the #1 rule of a pitcher having a runner on base. Make the guy stop. You know, and what you have, I think, is a pitcher out there in DeSclafani that struggled a little bit here today, and he's so intent on the hitter. He didn't want to let that at bat with Almora get away from him. He had a 1-2 count. Next thing you know, he's got a 3-2 count. And his concentration's on home, and that's why Madden was able to run the runners, because he had no idea that these runners were about to run.
All right, now Hendricks, he did put the ball in play his first time up on a ground ball to Iglesias. And it's strike 1 here. Two of those RBIs, 3 of the hits came in that win against the Reds. He knocked in a run in his most recent start. It was a win, but not nearly as effective on the mound against the Nationals. Good play there by Tucker Barnhart. Well, he made a number of those in Milwaukee.
But again, I mean, how many times have we seen DeSclafani bounce his breaking ball, and how many times have we seen it left high out of the zone? I mean, when he's missing, he's just not missing by a little bit. He's missing by a lot. So that feel for that breaking pitch is just not there.
One more pitch to make and retire Hendricks and get out of an inning where you allow 3 base runners. Oh boy, he wanted that call. I don't know where that missed.
Well, I mean, you have a problem really back there of missing your spot by a lot, but also having the catcher jump around a little bit. And the way that Tucker had to catch that ball, kind of pushing that ball down and out of the zone.
And now you've gone full to the pitcher. A lot of people tell you this is where the advantage goes away. Pitcher figures you got to be throwing him a fastball. You got Schwarber standing in the on-deck circle.
Doesn't matter. You should be able to throw your fastball by this guy. I mean, not one time in that at bat did they want to pitch Kyle Hendricks inside. How about busting him in with a fastball early on, and then you own him in the at bat? And that will be all for DeSclafani. How about that?
Well, yet another disappointing outing by this veteran Reds right-hander. He has faced 5 batters in this inning, and 4 of them have reached base. 2 on walks. He walks 3 in the game, and so far he's given up 4 on 3 home runs. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. We're back in a moment. So Anthony DeSclafani on this Friday afternoon at Wrigley Field leaves after 3 2/3 innings. This will be part of a double switch. Jose Peraza will come into the game and take over for Jose Iglesias.
Well, you've got the pitcher spot coming up second in the inning when the Reds come in to bat at the top of the 5th. So they figure that Wandy will be out there for more than 1 inning. Got roughed up a little bit his last time out. That was up in Milwaukee. But for the most part, he's been pretty good. They need a couple of innings here out of him today, and they need this out right here with bases loaded and Schwarber at the plate.
Still just a 4-1 ball game. Reds are very much in this game if Peralta can get an out. The last 2 left-handed batters he faced, he has been hurt and hurt badly. In fact, the last 3 left-handed batters he's faced, he gave up 3 straight hits to left-handers Moustakas, a 2-run home run. Well, that was Grandal turning around about right-handed, but then the left-hander Thames had a hit against him. And that outing was on the heels of the first pitch he threw to Cody Bellinger for a 3-run home run to blow open the game last Sunday. See the numbers for Wandy against Kyle Schwarber. 0 for 5. Bases are loaded for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Good pitch there. That's excellent location by Peralta to get ahead 1-2. So now trying to put away Schwarber and leave him loaded.
Well, a decision pitch right here in that 2-2 count.
Boy, that is right there. Three and two, bases loaded, 2 outs. And a grounder to the left side. How about Wandy Peralta? Comes in and slams the door on a Cub rally. Now those guys came ready for baseball today. 1,902 Cincinnati Red Stockings uniforms. And by the way, those are still for purchase at reds.com/auctions. Benefiting the Reds Community Fund. That's a good looking group there. Very nice.
I like those unis. I really do.
Yeah. Reds will be wearing the uniforms from 1919 when the Nationals are in town next weekend. Coming up later on, we'll have our Hold True moment. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Now we see a lot of Reds fans here when the Reds play, especially on the weekends, and this being a holiday weekend. I don't think anybody expected, though, when they jumped in the car and made the drive up from Cincinnati, that they were going to be coming up here and the wind chill would be in the upper 40s.
Yeah, bring your blankets with you.
All right. And you talk to the Cub people, and they will tell you that this has just been one of the coldest, wettest springs. People that have been around here a long time. I mean, Joe Madden's only been here 5 years. I'm talking about people like her. Been around here every single year.
That coat was live when she first started coming here.
You're sick. But I'll tell you, it's been brutal. I mean, they had a 10-game homestand before they came into Cincinnati last week. They say it rained every game. And the temperatures never got above the mid-50s. And we're, a handful of days away from the month of June. All right, Reds still very much in this one. They trail 4-1. It'll be Barnhart, Peraza, and then Senzel against Hendricks. That one shanked off to the left side. Barnhart struck out his first time up. And again fouled away by Tucker.
Well, obviously the commitment here by Barnhart taking that ball to left field. As long as Hendricks is going to pitch him away, why not hit it that way? Hendricks sometimes likes to throw that little two-seamer inside to left-handers to kind of get him off the plate a little bit. Curveball, rare, but he throws it effectively.
And that is the 6th strikeout today for Hendricks.
Hendricks is a 4-pitch pitcher. He throws 2 different types of fastballs, a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer. He throws his changeup almost 40% of the time. And more so with 2 strikes, and occasionally drops that curveball in there. Not very often, but he's got a nice tight rotation.
Let's see if Peraza can get something started. His first at bat. He'll be followed by Senzel. And any further than that, we get Votto. 3 straight day games over the weekend at Wrigley Field.
Looks like Peraza's a little more upright with his setup. You know, one of the things that has been bothering him, and he seemed to get out of it last year, you know, he kind of lets his chin and head float over the home plate and loses his strength. Staying a little more upright helps you get into more of a power position. A little bit like Eugenio Suarez.
One and 2 on Peraza, 204 batter, has 4 home runs, 11 runs batted in, and 137 at bats. And it's into center field, a base hit for Peraza.
You know, he's got a lot of pop. That sounds funny for a guy that only has a few home runs and makes so many easy outs. But, I mean, when he stays back and puts a barrel on the ball, he's a strong kid. He's got strong hands and wrists. He just never seems like he's able to get his whole body into the swing and use the strength that he has unless he gets that pitch on the inner part of the plate.
Senzel, 2 at bats, 2 strikeouts.
He has looked completely befuddled by Hendricks.
Senzel went 0 for 3 against Hendricks. And then drew a walk his 4th trip to the plate in the 9th inning. And that's when Hendricks came out of the game. Breaking balls in there, strike. Senzel's on base percentage at .314. Batting average .234. And not even 3 full weeks in the big leagues, or at least as far as 3 full weeks of games for Senzel. And that'll be a base hit into center field. So back-to-back singles, straight back where it came from. Well, the only run the Reds scored off Hendricks in Cincinnati a week and a half ago was this home run by Joey Votto. A long home run to right center. That was the 4th of the year for Votto. And now a big chance for Joey. Struck out his first time up and dropped a little floater into left center field that turned into a double. And he scored the only Reds run. It's a big at bat now with the heart of the order coming up. And Votto puts a charge into one right field, but not on a day like today. Well, it looked like it left the bat a little sweeter, and Votto's talking to himself. I mean, just clenching those fists and thought he had hit it very well.
Well, he got almost the same kind of pitch we showed you on the home run swing. Got that a little bit out on it. The end of the bat, it looked like, and not enough to even push the right fielder to the warning track. Not today, wind blowing in from right.
I know, I think he pointed it out, Chris, when you watch it on replay, he's choking up so far on the bat, even the first pitch of at bats,
yeah,
that ball was off the end of the bat. That was really not hit all that hard. Fooled me. That's not saying much. Here is Suarez.
Well, Votto fooled you and Hendricks fooled Votto.
All right, now Suarez, who leads a team with 13 home runs and 31 runs batted in. One big crack of the bat away from tying this game up. Bryant to Rizzo. Red strand 2. Trail by 3. Create unforgettable memories by hosting your next event at Great American Ballpark. I mean, it's perfect for a meeting, team building, parties. We have weddings there all the time. Upgrade your next event to a big league experience. Visit Reds.com/events. We certainly hope Jim Day is feeling better. Had dinner with Jim last night, and guess he got back to his room and wasn't feeling well and feeling a lot worse this morning. So, Jimbo, hang in there. Hopefully back tomorrow. Wandy Peralta set to face 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order, and those are some big-time players. I mean, guys that could win the MVP each and every year. Bryant, Rizzo, Baez. That is a foundation of this Chicago Cubs team, that trio, without any question. Not to say they don't have other good players, but the top 3 guys they'd pick if they had to pick 3 on this team would be those 3. They were making a big deal out of the home run that Rizzo hit here a couple of days ago, and comparing it to which one was more of a monster shot, the one that he hit or the one that Schwarber hit. Now you see that D in Budweiser. We're going to show you that's where the home run was hit by Rizzo a couple of days ago. Lined hard into right center field. Cut off by Puig. Nice play by Puig to hold Bryant to a single.
I'll tell you, he's played very good defense right there. That could be a big play in this ball game because you keep him from getting a double. Looked like a double off the bat, though, as hard as it was hit. Puig has not allowed his struggles at the plate to affect his defense. It's a really good play. And, of course, you're going to respect his arm when he cuts that ball off.
So now Rizzo, and that home run we were talking about. We'll give it to you here in just a second. Take a look at this thing. Goodness gracious. Well, they were comparing it to the one in the division series a couple of years ago that Schwarber hit. That was banged out of the stadium. And universally it was agreed that Schwarber's was a more prodigious home run. Rizzo out of there on strikes. First for Wandy.
Good looking at bat right there for Peralta. You know, Wandy Peralta first came up, his main off-speed pitch was a changeup. And that could come in very handy in this at-bat to Baez. Baez, a free swinger. I mean, he's still a guy that if you have to, you can go to a safe spot, which is down and away. But if you get the ball up, he'll take that ball to right field and hit it hard that way. In fact, the Reds are playing him as a hitter that'll hit the ball to right field in the outfield. Little backdoor slider, good pitch there. I think Baez hits the ball to right field more than he hits it to left field. Okay, so the ranking of the hitters in the National League that hit the ball to the opposite field. Baez is first. Extra base hits to the opposite field is first. And home runs that way.
And I know they break it down, Chris, ground balls and fly balls and line drives and all that kind of thing. But just looking at those numbers in and of themselves, as Baez strikes out, that's a great pitch by Peralta. But I'm a little befuddled that when you have a guy that is hitting the ball that frequently the other way, the Reds are playing Dietrich, or were a second ago, almost right next to the second base bag. Now, again, I understand that they'd be able to break it down for you and say ground balls and all that kind of thing, but it also tells me it's a guy who's not afraid to hit the ball clearly the other way. And with a guy holding the runner on at first, the first baseman, that entire right side of the infield's open.
Yeah, it is, but I think what it tells you, Tom, is exactly what you said. I mean, he hits the ball in the air to the right side, he hits the ball on the ground to the left side. You know, those shift numbers are very difficult to just be a casual watcher of the game, or even like us, we watch every game. But we don't chart those where those balls are going. It's very hard to second guess a defensive shift because they're there because the data says they should be there. Now, pitchers will get mad from time to time. I think Rich Hill got mad the other day, gave up a couple little squidbers off the end of the bat, and gave up also a bunt base hit. When there was nobody there on the left side of the infield. But for the most part, I don't think that you can argue or even have an opinion going against a shift because the data says that's where the ball is hit, and it's undeniable. I think you have to give credit to the defense when a ball is hit traditionally in a spot that would have been a base hit, but there's a fielder there now because of the shift. As much as you give a credit to a hitter who beats the shift, if that makes sense.
Sure makes sense. But as you and I like to talk about all the time, data cannot figure out what's in a guy's heart and his head. Anthony Rizzo bunted for a hit, which almost led to the game-winning rally in the ninth inning yesterday. Geico Reds historical moment. We turn back the clock to May 24th, 1935. Crosley Field hosts the first night game in Major League Baseball history. The Reds beat the Phillies 2-1. Franklin D. Roosevelt pushing a button at the White House to illuminate the field. 25,000 on hand. Reds 2-1 winners. That year the Reds played 8 night games, one against every National League team. And of course Wrigley Field was the last ballpark to turn on the lights. 88-88 their first game, and of course, strangely enough, that game got rained out. And then when they had their first ever night game to open a season in 1990, it was as though the baseball gods were saying, no night baseball at Wrigley. That too rained out. Excellent work by Wandy Peralta as the Reds come to bat here against Hendricks, trailing 4-1, top of the 6th inning, first of 3 after the Reds beat the Cubbies 2 of 3 last weekend in Cincinnati. And that's a third straight base hit for the Reds on balls right back up the middle. Maybe the Reds are on to something finally here.
Well, it's interesting because the Cubs don't overshift a number of the Reds hitters, including Senzel. They play him pretty much straight up. They play Winker pretty much straight up, except the shortstop hugging the second base bag a little bit. So finally, the last couple of innings now, the Reds have been able to get a couple of base runners on and make Hendricks work out of the stretch.
It's the first time the Reds have put the leadoff man aboard to start an inning. And here's Yasiel Puig.
There's no doubt that Hendricks is nowhere near as sharp as today as he was a couple of starts ago when he faced the Reds in Cincinnati.
Well, the Reds have 5 hits against him. And in essence, all of them have been singles. I know Votto got credit for a double, and it is a double. But it was nothing more than a little pop-up into short left center field, and Almora fell down. Not fell down, he tried to make a sliding catch. And when the ball ricocheted off his body, Votto took second base. Well, this one is hammered into left center field, and Yasiel Puig has made it a 1-run game. Oh, doctor, all of a sudden the Reds are right back in this one.
A nice, easy, but very powerful swing by Yasiel Puig. A 2-0 count. And Hendrick just wanted to go away with that one, it looked like, and got it up in the wheelhouse.
So 4-0 has now become 4-3. Puig has knocked in all 3 Cincinnati runs today. And we are just in the 6th inning. Plenty of time left.
Yeah, it's another one of those games, Tom. The Reds have played so many of these too, where they have to rely on their bullpen to keep the team in the game, hoping that their offense can kind of etch away and come back. And today they've done that.
How about that? You've got to go back to August of last year. First home run in this ballpark spanning 10 starts.
It's amazing.
Really is.
Wouldn't you think now with so many more teams, leagues that is, depending on home runs to make their offense work? I mean, nowadays you rarely ever see an inning where you're stretching 2 or 3 base hits in an inning together to, it's a walk and a home run. It's a 2-run rally. The emphasis might be more on pitchers to keep the ball in the ballpark than anything else.
Well, look at the Red staff. Look no further than 2 pitchers we're going to see in this series. On the front end of the back end, DeSclafani has now allowed, 13 home runs in 48 innings. Tanner Roark's allowed 2.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Reds have never been home. So it's not like DeSclafani's just giving up a bunch of cheapies at Great American Ballpark, and that's strike 3 to Dietrich. He didn't like it. 7 in the game for Hendricks. Wow. Can't blame him. There were a couple of those at bat with Peralta on the mound a moment ago that were a lot closer than that.
Caratini has nice soft hands behind home plate. I mean, barely moves the glove. That pitch, you can argue whether it's a ball or a strike. You may also argue, was it too close to take?
Well, the Reds made an interesting decision today. I thought it was an interesting decision when they brought up Matt Bowman, pitcher from the minor leagues, used to be with the Cardinals. And Chris, I know you really liked what you saw to him healthy again in spring training this year. We talked about that. The surprising decision, I thought, was that Van Meter wound up staying with a big league club. He is a left-handed batter, and obviously he's showing some good things in a short amount of time. But Phillip Ervin is another guy who's shown a lot of good things when he gets a chance to play. And it was Ervin who was sent out again today before the game.
Yeah, he's really looked good, Irvin has. And you could say, well, he deserves to be up here based on what he's done. But if you look at the roster, Van Meter gives the Reds the only true left-handed hitter off the bench. So do you want to go into a ball game with no lefties available off the bench or not? You know, when most right-handed relievers at the very end of the game are right-handed.
But let me ask you this question, and I'm not bringing this up. This has nothing to do with Van Meter or Irvin, nothing to do at all. Would you not agree that right-handed batters who make it to the major leagues are able to hit right-handed pitching better than left-handed batters who make it to the major leagues against left-handed pitching?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the traditional thought. I would go with that.
So that's why I've often wondered about the real importance of left-handed hitters off your bench.
Well, I mean, you said left-handed hitters versus left-handed
I'm saying lefties
pitching.
against lefties do not hit lefties nearly as well as righties hit righties, because you see obviously a ton more of them, right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Tom, is that you see left-handed relievers who are specialists only to get lefties out. You rarely see a right-handed reliever who's only there to get right-handers out.
Now, if they're regular players, I get it. You know, guys are going to play every day for you. But as far as the importance, because of the loogies that come in now, and left-handers traditionally struggle against lefties so bad.
But the reason you have a left-hander on your bench like that who has a little pop is that you bring him in against a closer. And you're not going to take your closer out to bring in the left-handed specialist, you know, in that case. So you have a matchup that you think may work for you, which is a lefty hitter versus that righty thrower.
Here's Barnhart. Back-to-back strikeouts since the two-run home run by Puig. Tucker has struck out each of his 2 times today. And you can now make it 3 in a row. But it's a new ball game. A single by Winker, a long one by Yasiel. Don't miss Yasiel Puig Celebrity Casino Royale, June the 13th at Great American Ballpark. A celebrity-filled poker tournament, casino games, food and beverages, including a meet and greet with a Reds outfielder. For details, visit Reds.com/Puig Casino. Yeah, we talk all the time about the stuff that guy does for charity. It is just amazing. And his Wild Horse Foundation and the different things he does throughout the course of a very, very long and exhausting baseball season. All right, here was a young man, Chris. You and I had him a couple of times on TV games. He used to be a rock-solid pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals till he started having some problems with his fingers, right?
Yeah, he had circulation problem with his fingers, which ended up leading to surgery to, I guess, unblock an artery so that he got better circulation in his hand. That set him back last year. The Reds picked him up, I think it was from the St. Louis Cardinals. He was always the guy the Cardinals would wait until they really needed a ground ball. And he pitches at the bottom of the zone, gets a lot of ground balls, fastball, changeup. And there's his main pitch right there. That's a little changeup, kind of a fadeaway pitch.
Well, it's interesting when David Bell was asked before the game today about the roster move that was made and Bowman coming back up here and how he planned on using him. The first line out of David Bell's mouth was, "I will use this guy in any situation." He said, "When I was a bench coach under Mike Matheny in St. Louis," he said, "I'm not sure over the course of an entire year that there was a pitcher on our staff that pitched in more big games and high leverage situations than the Cardinals would use Bowman."
Yeah.
Because of the ability to get the ground ball, get the double play. And he said, especially, he said, "I can remember multiple games against this Cub team and how many big outs he would get for the Cardinals."
You know, and I think Bowman is the kind of guy that you have to watch to appreciate. And David Bell was in a position to see him do it a lot. I mean, if you just evaluate Bowman based on his quote-unquote stuff, I mean, tops out at 92. He's got an 82-mile-an-hour changeup. He's got decent control. But he doesn't have any one pitch that's going to blow you away. He's not really a high strikeout pitch at all. He always pitches to contact. But, you know, he doesn't seem to get – he's unfazed in a high-leverage situation. And that's the advantage, I think, of having had David Bell watch him a long time. And you kind of believe in a guy like that. I mean, in 2017 for the Cardinals, and that's when David Bell was bench coach for Mike Matheny, Bowman was in 75 games. That was top 10 in all of baseball as far as appearances. Last year, he was on the mound only 22 times when he had that, you know, he had a couple of times where he went on the DL.
2 out. Couple of ground balls by Bowman.
You know, it's interesting because the Reds have some backup down in the minor leagues when it comes to relievers. They have a number of guys that were, you know, like Cody Reed, we've seen a couple of times back and forth. Sal Romano's been down there. Bowman has been down there. They had Despagne. I don't think he opted to move on. I think he signed with the White Sox, if I'm not mistaken. But what they don't have is a lot of depth when it comes to starting pitching. So you're hoping that the starters the Reds have are able to stay healthy and make all their every fifth day appearances.
The Reds have not decided yet what they're going to do on Monday, but there will be a decision made on that later today about you know, who's going to start in the doubleheader. It's not so much that day because you've had a couple of off days. It's what happens then after that.
Well, you also are able to bring up one extra pitcher that day,
yep.
So you make your roster 26.
And Bell sounded like he was contemplating an all-reliever day. Of course, the danger you have there is if one of your starters gets banged out of the game very early on somewhere in that, you know, like over the weekend, or then you need a lot of bullpen. Bowman quickly ahead of Almora Jr. A one-run game here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So this is Bowman's Cincinnati Reds debut, and he's coming in a one-run game. Two and two. Alvarez fly to right, fly to center, 0 for 2. Brad Brock is getting loose in the Chicago Cubs bullpen. Three straight ground balls in his Reds debut. Oh boy, and that's a nice pick over there by Votto as Peraza throws it in the dirt. Nice job by Bowman. Our Honda game summary, all Chicago against DeStefani early. First batter of the game, home run by Schwarber. A couple of home runs coming back-to-back by Bryant with a man aboard, then Rizzo halfway up the scoreboard and right. But the Reds start the comeback in the 4th inning. Puig a base hit into center field, scoring Votto. Then Puig again in the 6th inning. 2-run home run to straightaway center field. So the Reds get 3 runs in 5 innings. or in 6 innings, I beg your pardon, against Hendricks, and now he will leave the game, Chris, in favor of reliever Brad Brock, B-R-A-C-H.
Brock has been around a while. He's 33 years old. He was originally drafted by the Padres. He got traded from the Padres to Baltimore and then was with the Braves last year. He's always been a reliever. In fact, one year he had a season with Baltimore. He was an all-star, won 10 ball games as a reliever out of the bullpen, had an earned run average of 2.0 when he appeared in 71 games.
All right, Peraza, his only at bat, he had a single into center field. This time they cover up that area around the second base bag, and he's thrown out. And that's another change made by Chicago. That is Addison Russell, who now takes over at second base, replacing Daniel Descalzo. You're down a run in the 7th. You're playing the first place team in your division. You beat them 2 out of 3 at your place a week and a half ago. What's in store for this Memorial Day weekend at Wrigley Field? Senzel struck out swinging, struck out looking his first 2 times before a single against Hendricks in the 5th. Amir Garrett was up in the Reds bullpen. And he is still up and throwing. Cubs would have a right-handed batter in Addison Russell. I'm assuming that's a double switch. We're not told all the time about that. It would make perfect sense that it is, but not every time will a manager automatically make a double switch. And we don't have a constantly running sort of computerized scorecard up here that the official scorer tells everybody in the building what move was made or what wasn't made. And so now they have it up on the board in right to officially let everybody know that Russell will lead off. So there you have it. Up to date.
Well, you know, there are rules about double switches, and it includes a manager telling the umpires where he wants that batter to hit. Because if he doesn't, the umpire can put that new player in wherever he wants or wherever he thinks he should go.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where obviously the rule being, and the umpires will know it, and the managers will know it, and the official scorer up here will know it. But we don't know. That's why it makes it nice here at Wrigley, and we don't do the same thing, I don't think, at our ballpark. We'll have the team's lineup that's at the plate, but not the other team that is in the field. And since adding those 2 jumbo scoreboards in left field and right field, they use the one in right to give you the full lineups and any changes that are made on defense.
You know what's happened since they've added those 2 jumbo electronic video boards? You hardly even notice the old-fashioned one in center field anymore.
You're right. Suarez pops one up. This might fall in. It is going to fall in. And it's a base hit. And on his way to third goes Votto. So you get a base hit by Joey, a bleeder by Suarez, and now all of a sudden Jesse Winker with a big chance.
Jam-itis right there, right in on the label. But a perfect placement right there. The wind helping that ball die in right field before Hayward can get to it. Hayward, I think, more worried about Russell coming out there in a collision. I can see why.
What a big opportunity now for Winker and the Reds.
You know, Winker has to come up here and approach this at bat
like a pinch hitter. I mean, you've got to be ready for the fastball on the first pitch if you get it. And he gets a breaking ball.
Winker has been on base twice. So here you have Votto, who has a double and a single. Winker's been on a couple of times. Puig a couple of hits with 3 runs batted in. And that's a trio we were talking about very early on today. 2-0 on Jesse. And a base hit into center field, and this game is tied up. Suarez making the turn, going to third, and here comes Winker into second base. And the throw was cut off, and he goes in with a hustling double.
Good thing it was cut off. A good heads-up play by Winker, but it turned out okay because had that ball been able to go right through the second baseman, he's out. But the first things first, a changeup, it looked like, from Brad Brock. Gets rifled into center field. That's the tying run with Votto. And the Reds now have a chance to push a couple more out there.
Boy, these are big at-bats in this game. We were talking about those 3 guys before the game today, and even with David Bell before the 3 today. And all in agreement in unison, and it's not like it's some state secret. But the 3 guys, along with Suarez, you thought were going to be the best offensive players on this team this year, were Votto, Winker, and Puig. They have been 3 of the most ineffective offensive players or offensive players on this team this year.
But in this game,
whole different
they've
deal.
all been big.
Votto 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Winker 2 hits, been on base 3 times, scored a run, knocked in a run. Puig 2 hits, 3 RBIs. And now Puig with a chance to give the Reds a lead, a game in which they trailed 4-0 at the end of 3. If you or I did what Puig just did, we wouldn't be able to walk for a week. Not only reaching back that far, but hitting yourself in the back 4 times in a row. Strike 1. And now he licks it back. He says good things are happening. Here we go. Well, maybe just sniffed it.
Yeah, that was a sniff.
Yeah.
I don't know, the pitchers union may want to file some kind of a complaint about that. I mean, if a batter can lick the bat, why can't the pitcher lick the ball?
That's a very, very good question. Puig waiting. And there's that breaking ball again.
Boy, same pitch, same swing. I mean, if you're Brad Brock, you throw anything else right here. And if you're Puig, you got to figure out a way to make an adjustment here on that pitch.
One and two. Same pitch, same result. But the Reds string together 3 straight hits with 2 outs in an inning. And they have rallied back from a 4-0 deficit to tie this game. DeWink with DeBow. See your Reds in action Friday, May 31st. That's a week from today. The Nationals in town, and we'll have the big fireworks show after the game set to a Star Wars themed soundtrack. Presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit reds.com/150. Matt Bowman got 3 ground ball outs in his Reds debut in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the Reds have come back to tie the game. 4-4. Cubs bat last of the 7th. Madison Russell hitting for the first time today since taking over defensively. And the Reds have Amir Garrett ready. The question is, when you start looking at the way they stack them up here, do you bring in, and it might have a lot to do with what Russell does here. Do you let Bowman face a left-handed batter with Bryant following? Or do you bring in Garrett, who's been dominant against both left-handers and right-handers this year? Probably the latter rather than the former.
Mm-hmm.
Tied him up, and he's out of there. Boy, how about Bowman?
We watched this in spring training time, and he was just coming back from that hand surgery and was still trying to get a good feel of the baseball. But he gets some really bad swings. And I've always thought that when you're evaluating pitchers, you really ought to look at the hitter rather than only look at the pitcher's stuff. Because it's what the hitter sees that means the most. And looks like that David Bell is going to make a double switch and get Bowman out of the game.
Well, good for Bowman.
Yeah.
His Reds debut on the comeback trail. It's been a long road back for him. Did not allow an earned run and a start in 4 games in spring training. And Matt up with the Major League club. Big smile on his face, and he should be. 4 batters, 4 outs. Reds have made multiple changes. Yasiel Puig, who's knocked in 3 runs in this game, is out of the game.
I'm wondering if he may have re-injured his shoulder, hurt himself, in the last at bat where he struck out against Brad Brock to end the 7th inning. Did not look good at all, chasing that slider. So Kyle Farmer goes in to play second base. Dietrich goes to left, and Amir Garrett on the mound. Triple switch.
Well, we love watching Garrett come into games, and he gets seemingly more pumped up against the Cubbies than anybody.
Can this guy get any better than he is right now? That's a question. And the hard thing is when you reach a plateau of brilliance the way that Garrett has, how do you sustain that? He has been so good and for so long.
Two balls and 2 strikes.
First slider they bat right there, a little front door slider that Schwarber took for a fastball and took it for a strike.
Good night, Irene. And Schwarber disagrees with the call.
Well, we showed you the at-bat history between Schwarber and Amir Garrett. 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts, but 2 walks. And it looked to me in that at-bat that Schwarber had no intention of swinging the bat unless he had a pitch that was going to be basically right down the middle. And a couple of sliders in the same spot.
All right, so now Garrett against Chris Bryant. Strike 1. right-handed batters this year against Garrett are batting .156. 2 hits in 9 2/3, or 5 hits in 9 2/3 innings. 38 total batters face, 5 hits.
You know, very interesting here in this ball game. Garrett, who really has been featuring that slider as his main pitch, has used his fastball as his main pitch here today. Of course, he's dialing it up at 97.
Amir knocks it down, plenty of time, and gets you out at first base. The athletic one, former basketball star, Amir Garrett. And we're on our way to the 8th, 9-4. Alrighty, Pick, thank you very much. It is still Brock on the mound for Chicago. And Derek Dietrich to lead things off in this 4-4 game. Cincinnati batting in the 8th inning. Coming all the way back from a 4-0 deficit. They got 3 off Hendricks in his 6 innings today, and they got the tying run off the man on the mound right now. Reds have 9 hits to the 6 for Chicago, and only 1 hit against the Cincinnati bullpen today. Peralta, Bowman, and now Amir Garrett. And almost hit Dietrich, who was hit, of course, for the 100th time in his career when we were in Milwaukee. How did that miss him?
He's wondering the same thing.
Popped up. Boy, that was in the air forever, wasn't it? Take a look at Amir.
You know, some people aren't going to like that. And maybe Cubs fans, maybe Cubs dugout. He's not showing anybody up. He's just having fun.
Absolutely.
I love guys that play with emotion like that. And he does, too. He's not afraid to let it show.
Kyle Farmer batting for the first time since just coming into the game in the bottom of the 7th inning. And we know Farmer has plenty of thunder in that bat. Look out here on a 2-0 count. If he gets a fastball, he can hit it a long way. And he threw it by him.
Brock has not allowed a home run yet this year.
That means he's due.
One way to look at it.
Foul ball. Dropped down a little bit there.
Not a guy that really makes a right-hander feel very comfortable, I wouldn't think. Brock's a big guy. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall. He's got a herky-jerky windup. He steps a little bit across his body, so he gives you a sidewinder look at things. And he's got a sharp breaking ball.
Struck him out. 2 away in the inning. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky at Miami Valley Gaming.
Slow roller, barehanded by Bryant. And the throw gets away and into the camera well. And Tucker Barnhart will be given second base. So that'll be an infield hit and then a throwing error on Bryant.
Bryant normally a very sure-handed and sure-armed third baseman. Just throws that on the other side of the runner, and when you're the first baseman, you're thinking, oh, this is dangerous right here. Am I leaning across right into the runner? Rizzo was on the other side of the bag. So the Reds pick up a break right here and bring Peraza up again.
That's a go-ahead run out there at second base. Peraza 1 of 2 since coming in the game. A single and a ground ball to second base. And he's hit. Did he get hit? Wow, how did that miss? Wanted the same thing about Dietrich. A very important chance here for Peraza, who has labored through most of this season. But a chance here to give his team what would be its first lead of the game.
Well, he's got to resist the urge to fall back into bad habits, which is bending at the waist and leaning out over the plate trying to chase that slider.
Three and 0. You're green light him here.
I
with
am
Senzel?
not green lighting him here. Not a chance. He's never a guy that really gets a green light, and he probably wouldn't have had to handle a 3-0 pitch. You'd like to have another one like that on 3-1, though.
Three balls and a strike to Peraza. And there's ball 4. So he's gotten on twice in 3 plate appearances since coming into the game. Good for him.
I mean, walks for Jose Peraza were one time something that happened maybe once a month. He's doing a little bit more of that now. And with runners at first and second, Joe Maddon's coming out of the dugout.
Now this is interesting. He is bringing in a left-handed pitcher here, Mike Montgomery, and taking a right-hander out with Senzel coming to the plate. Interesting.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, Chris, you don't see this move made very often. I mean, nobody knows his players better than Joe Maddon does, but rarely do you see a left-hander brought into a game to face a right-hander when a pretty good right-hander is already on the mound.
Brad Brock, the reliever, had thrown 36 pitches, so maybe Maddon figured that he was just at the end of the rope. So they bring in Mike Montgomery, who has what you call reverse splits, meaning this year anyway, he's done a lot better against right-handers than he has against left-handers. Left-handers have hit like 571 against him. Right-handers are down around 237. You see the numbers right there.
Now, if you're wondering about Senzel against left-handed pitching, he is hitting .333, 9 for 27. Senzel's really struggled against the right-handers. Senzel's batting under 170 against right-handed pitchers.
So he hadn't broken a bat in a while. Look at all the ball marks on the end of that, on the barrel of that bat.
Big chance here for the rookie Senzel playing in his first game at Wrigley Field. And this will roll foul. Senzel just 2 hits on this road trip so far through Milwaukee and Chicago. What a time to pick up a hit it would be for him right now. Remember now, that's Barnhart out there running at second base. Throw will go to first. And Montgomery retires Senzel to retire the side. Cubs will bat in the bottom of the 8th. And some big matchups coming for Amira Garrett. We'll see Rizzo and Baez in this inning. Redlegs in action next weekend against the Washington Nationals on June the 1st. The first 20,000 fans in attendance receive a Joe Morgan bobblehead presented by PNC Bank. Get your tickets today as low as $12. Reds.com. All right. You get power against power coming up here. And some history with a couple of these batters. Garrett and Rizzo have gone toe-to-toe. Screamed at one another. And you know both of these guys want a piece of each other. We go back to last year. And Garrett all fired up. And this will be a matchup we figure to see for a long, long time. Slider in there to get ahead 0-2. And then you have Baez. We showed you some of that video a little bit earlier. Did not like the way Garrett was sort of barking at him after striking him out. And then afterwards, the cooler heads prevailed. Both of them handled it like a champ. And how about that piece of hitting right there? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. That guy's a ball player.
Well, an 0-2 slider, not just an 0-2 slider, but a perfect 0-2 slider. Gets a bad result as Rizzo just kind of reaches out and flips it into right field.
Now Baez. Slider, strike one.
Yeah, fastball speed bat, slider speed pitch. So far that you can see Baez has had the best of Garrett. 2 for 3, both hits home runs and 5 ribbies. Barnhart wanted a fastball in. Garrett shook him off and threw a slider. 1-1 count. Here comes the slider again.
Well, you go back to last year. Baez, a towering home run. And the next go-round is when Garrett was pumped up and the two exchanged a few words walking off the field. And then Baez would get him again.
All right, you saw where those location of the pitches of the home runs, right? They were up and the strikeout was down.
Came back with a fastball at 98 off the inside corner.
That's a good pitch. I mean, you come in there, if you miss your spot, you miss it a few inches inside, not a few inches over the plate.
2-2. And now you miss badly. Back-to-back fastballs.
Yeah, but you still have set up your slider by throwing them back-to-back fastballs. You saw the kind of swings, way out in front swings that Baez had. Key here is just keep the ball down.
And there it is. Kept the ball down on the slider. And Amir gets his second strikeout.
Baez will chase. I mean, he's a guy that, we've already shown it. He's emotional. He plays with enthusiasm and energy. And that translates sometimes to him chasing pitches that he can't handle.
Now the left-handed batting Jason Hayward. 1 of 3 had a single and was thrown out trying to steal back in the 4th inning. Slider swung on and missed, strike 1. You're looking ahead of the Cincinnati 9th inning. Votto, Suarez, Winker, and remember, no Puig. And we've not heard anything from the Reds clubhouse. It would lead us to believe that, well, the runner just takes off. And again, that's a runner in the scoring position. I mean, it's so Garrett never looked over there. And that's a huge stolen base for Rizzo.
I mean, are they going to give him a stolen base on that, or is that indifference?
Well, they're holding the runner on. They got to give him a steal. I know you're saying that tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, I guess you just got to get it done on the mound. Into center field will back up Senzel for the second out of the inning, and Rizzo stays put. Look, it's not comparing Rizzo to anybody else. It's not comparing Joey Votto to Anthony Rizzo or comparing him to any other first baseman you want to say. There are just so many little things that the more you watch Rizzo, he does so many things. And again, I'm not comparing him to Votto, so I don't even want to see Votto. I'm talking about Rizzo. There's so many things this guy does that add up to a winning player. He comes up against this inning against arguably the best left-handed pitcher in the league out of the bullpen. Looks bad falling behind 0-2. Just flips a little base hit into right field. Tie game, realizes the guy on the mound's not paying any attention to him, steals second base.
Yeah, you're right. He does that kind of thing. I'm wondering if he may have gotten a little help there from Will Venable, the first base coach, too, because it had been several pitches that Garrett really hadn't paid much attention to him. But you got to get out there and do it. Rizzo's that kind of player. No doubt about it.
So here's Caratini, who now turns around to bat right-handed. Oh for 2, drew a walk back in the 4th inning. 2-0. I believe that is Contreras. Down there, yep, in the on-deck circle. In there, strike. Fastball off the inside corner. 3-1 now to Caratini. We were talking about Puig and wondering if he re-aggravated his shoulder injury. I don't know what it means, Chris, that he still is on the bench and not up in the clubhouse. But his spot would be up fourth. And there's ball 4 to Caratini. David Bell is coming to get, or is he?
I think so. Yeah, he's had David Hernandez warming up in the bullpen, and that'll be the call.
Yeah, I guess a dead giveaway now, the way the Reds run their defense, is when that bat boy comes sprinting out of the dugout next to David Bell and giving the defensive alignment cards to the outfielder set up by Jeff Pickler. All right, Amir Garrett leaves after getting the final 2 outs in the 7th inning. He allows a single to Rizzo, retires 2 before a walk to Caratini. We are in a 4-4 game, and on to face Wilson Contreras is David Hernandez.
You know, you look at the overall numbers, performance numbers, Hernandez, and they're really not close to what he's meant to this ball club. I mean, a 3.7 earned run average, not very great for a reliever, but man, he has come in and gotten some big outs in big-time innings, and here's another one coming up.
Well, he pitches in the most high-leverage situations of anybody on a team.
Yeah.
With games on the line, runners on base, you know, they brought in Iglesias to, you know, here and there, but Hernandez is a guy in situations like this all year long. And the overwhelming majority of the time, he's gotten the job done. Now, he did 2 days ago, gave up a couple of big base hits, which led to runs. He gave up one of them in that 5-run Milwaukee 6th inning when they came back on Wednesday.
I mean, everybody got touched up in that game.
I'm not lying about that. Everybody except for Robert Stevenson to score. Oh, no, Jared Hughes had a perfect inning. But, yeah, Lorenzen, Peralta, Hernandez, Castillo, everybody. Contreras having a big-time year. .310 batter, .420 on base percentage, 11 home runs, a whopping 30 knocked in. Base hit center field. And the Cubs have taken the lead.
Well, a slider that was not all that bad of a pitch, considering it looked like it was off the plate. Just a really good bit of hitting. So you have 2 hits in this inning of pitches that were located by where the pitchers wanted them, but the Cubs hitters were able to just get the bat on the ball. That is a big-time come through for your team hit right there by Wilson Contreras. Man, man. Especially given the fact it's the bottom of the 8th inning.
They're sending a pinch runner on the Cubs. Mark Zagunis will come on to run for Caratini, and Contreras will just stay in the game and catch. And again, nobody's going to talk about it. You're going to talk about the guy who got the hit. But you could certainly make the argument, when we're getting back to Rizzo, you know, he leads off the inning, falls behind a couple of strikes against Garrett, flips it into right field for a hit, realizes that Garrett's not paying any attention to him at first base. He steals second base to get into scoring position. Now you can say, well, he walked Caratini, Rizzo would have wound up at second anyway. We'll never know that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is he got to second base.
Well, I think you pitched differently to Caratini because you had a base open.
Almora fly ball to right. All right, well, we'll see if the Reds have a comeback in them. They've got the right guys coming up. Get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game on Fox Sports Ohio. We call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Come your way tomorrow again at 1:30 Eastern Time. Tyler Mahle and Yu Darvish. Mahle, the toughest luck pitcher. For a short while there, it looked like Sonny Gray, but Mahle's had a much better year than Sonny Gray. But only one win to show for it. Of course, that's the same number that Sonny Gray has. Yasiel Puig taken out of this game, so we won't see him bat in the ninth inning. He's our key performer, brought to you by your Tri-State Buick GMC dealers. He's knocked in 3 runs today, and yet he sits on the bench. We don't know if there's anything wrong with him. We don't know if he re-aggravated his shoulder that required a cortisone shot. All we know is he's not in the game. Steve Cishek serving as the Chicago Cubs closer, while Pedro Strop is on the disabled list. Strike one to Joey Votto. Contreras remains in the game to catch.
Cishek has been pretty good. He's closed 4 games, picked up 4 saves. He's only given up 1 home run in the 23 innings in which he's pitched. As you could tell from a sidewinding right-hander's location on that low arm angle, he's a lot tougher on righties than he is lefties. Votto 0 for 3, but with 3 walks lifetime against Cishek.
Joey flipped one into short left center that fell in for a double in the 4th inning. He scored a run, and then he had a big single and scored the tying run in the 7th inning. It's the first time we've seen the middle of this lineup all in the same game actually do something on offense. The 2, 3, 4, and 5 hitters, 7 of 15 with a home run, 4 RBIs. Everybody else a total of 3 hits in the game. Barely to stay alive. Reds are trying to turn what has been a maddening power and pattern this year. And that's the way they have played in 1-run games. By far the most losses of any team in baseball, and not by a little bit. They have 13 of them in 20 1-run games. They are 11 in 20. 11 wins, 20 losses in games decided by 2 runs or a single run. And Votto really grinding up there. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, this looks a little more like a Joey Votto vintage at bat. Fouling off some tough pitches. Not quite as in as much a defensive position at the plate.
Trying to get aboard. Reds down a run here in the top of the 9th inning. And he does. That's an outstanding plate appearance by Votto. You know, do you think about, well, you're down a single run. Do you consider running for Votto here? I mean, I know you're starting to run out of players on that bench. Yeah, they're going to run for him.
Yeah.
That's a good day's work for Votto today. Yep. And it's been a struggle, as we know. But on base 3 times today. Good for him. That's Michael Lorenzen. drive into left center field. Oh, Daddy! Suarez, a 2-run big fly. Eugenio Suarez, his team high 14th round tripper, and the Reds for the first time all day lead in Chicago. And the heart of the order has indeed come alive today.
Wow. What a bomb by Suarez. First pitch hacking deep in the left center field. That guy's getting lonely out there until that home run.
He keeps cheering like that, he won't be lonely long.
I'll tell you, this crowd is stunned.
They really are.
I mean, they are back in their seats and stunned. What a good ball game for this Reds team.
Well, we just said a minute ago, they're trying to find a way to swing the pendulum the other way in so many tough losses this year in tight games.
That is the first home run that Cishek has given up in 54 batters to right-handed hitters this year. He's only given up one home run overall. But I mean, he is as tough on righties as anybody out there. And Suarez getting ready to swing that bat right after coming out of the on-deck circle.
And now drilled is Winker, and he's on base for the 4th time today. This is exactly what we were talking about with David Bell before the game. If Winker, Votto, and Puig get involved in the offense, this is a whole different looking team.
Yeah. One more look at that Suarez home run, a get-ahead fastball and the meat of the bat.
Suarez, some kind of excited, let's go, screaming to his teammates. As Cishek will leave the game. That ball's way back. Man, that's exciting stuff. Eugenio Suarez, a 2-run home run, propelling the Reds into a 1-run lead. And after Cishek hits Winker, they bring in the right-hander Norwood, just brought up from the minor leagues today. They've had to go through a lot of bullpen the last number of days.
Well, he was up last year. He pitched in 11 games, 11 innings for the Cubs. Was down in Iowa for all of this year. He's pitched pretty well down there. Not great numbers, but one of these guys to fill in some innings. Be nice to play a little add-on and give the Reds a little bit of breathing room in the bottom of the ninth.
And that would mean specifically, of course, or at least one would assume, Raisel Iglesias. This is Casale batting for the pitcher. Curd without a home run, 9 runs batted in, has seen a lot more playing time of late. A lot more. Went through a stretch where he started 4 out of 5. Went 0 for 3 in the victory over the Brewers on Tuesday night. And there's a walk to Casale. It never ceases to amaze me when you watch the game of baseball. It doesn't have to be the Reds, it doesn't have to be the Cubs. You have a team that goes through an entire game where they seemingly never take a pitch, outside of a batter here or a batter there. The Reds had walked one time in this game. And then so many games you'll see late in the game a team become more patient, more selective, whatever you might want to call it. And maybe it's not as many guys are coming in throwing strikes out of the bullpen, a combination of all the above. But here in just the last 4 batters, the Reds have walked twice and been hit by a pitch. And they've drawn 3 walks in the last 5 hitters.
And, of course, the reverse of that is the first pitch home run that Suarez hits.
Yep.
Got to know when to take them.
Dietrich just took a fastball right down the can to fall behind 0-2. Derek is 0 for 3, has drawn a walk. Get that one right out of the catcher's mitt. And to the count. And another foul ball. You can rest assured that if, and it's if, the Reds can nail this one down. You know, before the Reds even started this series, with all the bullpen that the Cubs had to use, and oftentimes ineffective bullpen, and during this long stretch of games where they don't have any off days, there will be lighting up the talk shows as they appeal and they say Dietrich went around. He can't believe it. They'll be lighting up the talk shows asking about this Cub bullpen.
Not quite the angle that the umpire at third base had, but certainly enough to see that Dietrich probably went.
Now Kyle Farmer with 2 on and 1 out. Strike 1.
So does that mean you're going to tune into the local talk shows and listen to them lambast the bullpen?
There are certain cities where there's nothing better. they're really, I mean, well, you know, the combo of the hosts, the callers. To answer your question, no, I won't. But this would be one of those towns where if that's what you wanted to do, it'd be worth it.
How are they on your dad nowadays after he
I don't know.
angered them a few years back?
Well, I would hope that, you know, we can find a way to forgive and forget.
I would think so.
I would hope so.
They're not going to have him to pick on anymore or too much more.
High fly ball, right center field, giving chase and making the grab, Almora. Say, he's a nice outfielder. And, you know, it was interesting there. Farmer had lapped the runner at first base. Now, they would have had time to recover if that ball falls in. But Farmer had run right past the runner, Casale. What's the rule on that, Chris?
Well, the rule on that, as soon as the runner passes the preceding runner, he's out. So that was not a very smart thing to do in case Almora drops that ball. The Cubs still get an out right there. Huh.
So now Tucker Barnhart. And there's a pop-up into left field that will continue to carry into the well out there. Boy, did that continue to go. All right, the bottom line is the Reds have the lead, and it's Eugenio Suarez to thank for it. And now, Rysel will try and nail it down. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Toyota. For all your Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by First Financial Bank, we put your success first. Learn more at bankatfirst.com, member FDIC. Ah, yes, great downtown. great downtown. And a big-time long ball by Eugenio Suarez. So the offense, Chris, does its part. They've come back from 4-0 down. And now it will be the right-hander Raisel Iglesias. And let's take a look at how the Reds are going to stack them up. Winker goes from right back into left. You have Lorenzen. I don't ever remember him playing a corner outfield spot. I could be wrong there. Dietrich now at first. And Casale behind the plate. But all eyes are on the right-hander on the mound, and that's Raisel Iglesias, who has had his ups and downs without question this season. He is 10 for 12 in save chances. And he's fallen behind the first batter, Addison Russell.
The old saying about closers and get that leading lady. I mean, get that first out is, if you don't do that, it makes things awfully difficult.
Two-one on Addison Russell. 2-2. Throw a fastball at 97 right by him. You got a left-hander Schwarber next, and then Chris Bryant. Now, we saw Iglesias pick up the save the other night. He did not strike out a batter. He allowed a hit to Lorenzo or to Hira. And there's strike three. Set up for the breaking ball all along after fastball, and that's out number one. Now Schwarber in the air left field. One more out to go for Raisel Iglesias. Big league t-shirt there. Yep, the World Series one. Slider on the outside corner, a strike.
I got one of those. I'm taking it with me on every road trip.
I was talking about her t-shirt. 1990 World Series. What did you think I meant? The Marty t-shirt?
No, I'm talking about the same one.
Okay. 0-2 to count.
As far as you know.
I mean, look at that. World Series. That thing's in pristine condition. What is that, Bobby Goldsboro on the other one? And Bryant barely able to make contact. David Hernandez, ironically the pitcher of record, after he allowed the base hit, which gave Chicago the lead. The run was charged to Amir Garrett. And now Raisel trying to put it away. That one hung up there a little bit. Raisel delivers straight up in the air. And Casale bumping into Bryant there. Comes back to get it, and what an unbelievable comeback win for the Cincinnati Reds here at Wrigley Field today. The kind of game they have lost, Chris Welsh, seemingly time after time after time, and yet today, a new ball game.
Not seemingly, but actually time after time. And I got to say, this is a really great team win and a great win for David Bell. He used almost the entire roster today, had to do double switches, triple switches, brought guys in to play defense. You had a relief pitcher playing right field. The bullpen, as usual, lights out. This is one of those feel-good victories that Hope can get this ball club rolling in the right direction.
Big time win. Big time win. And naturally, our Miller Lite hold true moment. What else would it be? The 2-run home run by Suarez in the top of the 9th inning off Cishek. And again, you got to give it up to the Reds bullpen today. I mean, the Chicago bullpen gave up 1, 2, 3 runs. The Reds bullpen gave up 1. And their starter didn't even make it through 4 today. And Eugenio Suarez, kind enough to join us down on the field. And first of all, young man, congratulations. Do you realize you're the first right-handed hitter this year to hit a home run off Cishek?
Yeah, man, so happy for, make a good swing on that pitch. He tried to come in, but he missed that one. So happy to hit that homer and get a win for my team.
Hey, Eugenio, Chris Welsh here. Well, when you face that guy, I mean, he's awfully tough on right-handers. Comes down way low with the sidearm action. Are you thinking first pitch fastball there?
Yeah, he's tough. Everybody knows he's tough pitch. He got a good move on that sinker. But, yeah, always ready for a fastball first pitch. I just try to see a ball right there in my strike zone. And he did it. He threw me right there, and I make a good swing on that one. I'll be ready every time to hit it a fastball.
A lot of times, Eugenio, fans make a big deal about the 1-run losses. And let's face it, I mean, there have been a lot of tough losses for the Reds so far in the first 2 months of this season. Have you guys felt that there have been so many tight games and 1-run games, that kind of thing, and to finally pull one out today?
Yeah, definitely. We battle games, and the pitcher did a really good job. And lost those games by 1, by 2 runs. It's tough. But, we always battle. We fight to win in the games. This is our game. We try to be better every day, play hard, and try to win in the games. Pitcher did a really good job so far. And we start to hit it better, we start feeling better and, see what happened. Just play hard every day and try to win in most games.
How about playing in this ballpark? This has got to be kind of a special place. People were all loud. They were thinking that the Cubs were in control.
Yep.
And you sat them all back down in their seats with that home run.
This is a lot of history in this ballpark. Fans love Cubs, but they love to win. But we come to here win games too. We got some fun here, and try to enjoy this ballpark. Everybody know the ball fly here and, try to put it in there, hit the homers. Enjoy this ballpark. It's so good.
Well, Eugenio, Babe Ruth played in this ballpark, and you made him proud in the 9th inning today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guy. I appreciate it.
All righty. We thank Eugenio Suarez for joining us, and the Reds, a stunning win over the division-leading Cubs here today. 6-5, our final. Suarez, the hero, among many. Reds Live next.